All right. Here we go. It is the Matt Murphy Show, hour number 2 on this Wednesday edition, July 9. Hello, friends. Hope everybody's doing well. Doing better than Ken Weaver. AC's out at the Weaver household, so he is out today. He'll be back tomorrow. Jay's in for Ken, delivering the news, delivering the traffic, and everything else important to you. Jackson is delivering on the sound machine. He's helping out, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. We appreciate that. Doing like 18 jobs over there. Screening telephone calls, running the board, running the television side of things, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And Rumble, apparently, and I don't look, I was told that we were up and running on Rumble. I was told yesterday we were up and running on Rumble. Like we couldn't find it. So we're working on giving you an easy set of instructions if you're on the Rumble machine as to how to get to us, and we'll get back to you on that coming up ASAP. So we promised to get back to you on a couple of things involving education in the state of Tennessee, and I understand it's the middle of summer, and we're not going to belabor it. We can talk about anything with this next guest because he's a good friend of the show, one of our best friends. He is Representative Scott Cepicky, and he joins us in studio to talk education and beyond. Hello, Scott.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You look great with that Chinese shoulder.
Yeah. You told me about you just mentioned some new legislation that's being run through the General Assembly. What were you talking about?
Yeah, Jack Johnson, I've heard, is going to sponsor legislation along with William Lambert to prohibit Chinese parts to be put in bodies.
Oh, well, that's great.
So now
that's great.
Maybe you might be grandfathered. Didn't have to go through it again.
Well, let's hope so.
Buy American, Matt.
So I was about to tell you the story. We got sidetracked. I'll tell it again. I think I told the story yesterday on the show. Because I know hand and everybody's picking on me about my Chinese shoulder. And so I asked the doctor when we had the surgery, and then 2 weeks in, we go meet with the surgeon, make sure everything's going well, and everything seemed fine. And I said, hey, I'm getting picked on a lot about this thing at work. I was like, can you tell me a little about the parts? And he goes, oh, yeah, it's titanium. And he goes in there and he pulls it up on the screen and he shows me the parts and the ball, and there's plastic, and he's going on. And I was like, yeah, where's it made? And he keeps talking about the plastic. It's like 21st century technology. It's great, blah, blah, blah. And these screws go in there. It's like, yeah, where's it made? And, your physical therapy. And he starts talking about it. And I was like, where's it made? And he kind of looks at me and says, I don't know. So my message to you, Cepicky, is probably not a good idea to say anything to me that you don't want the red Chinese to know about.
I'm telling you. They got an inside listening device.
But they'll be happy to know that test scores are going up in the state of Tennessee, right?
And I'll be brief on education because I know we take a beating from the listeners in the summertime.
But it's important stuff, man.
But we are definitely headed in the right direction, especially in early education. We increased our third grade literacy rate to 41%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but Matt, 2 years ago we were at 28. So we're really moving the ball there.
Well, that's good.
In fifth grade, we're at 40 and 47 in math and English language arts. Our new challenge is going to be middle school and high school as we drop off to 29 and 36 in ELA and math, but they're both increases. So we are starting to turn the corner here, especially in early education. Remember what we've done. We went back to phonics on how we used to teach reading. We have summer school now. We have the interventions and the tutoring in place. We are focusing more. We brought the cell phone ban this year. Mm-hmm. We increased recess in elementary. So we're doing things that we think are really starting to benefit our students. In English language arts this year, most grades tested show gains in proficiency, including a nearly 4-point increase in English 1 and English 2. In math, proficiency increased in every grade level, including a gain of more than 5 percentage points in sixth grade, and I'll tell you why that's important. Statewide science achievements continue to progress, with nearly 2% increases across the board, and social studies up 4 points. But the reason why math is so important is we've been very, very weak in mathematics. We'll have a report coming out from the Department of Education on how we're going to deliver math this coming general session. We're going to see if we can get this thing turned around pretty quick.
So I see the trend line. The trend line's in the right direction. 41% is nothing to necessarily be proud about, but when you're coming from 20-something
right,
in just a couple of years,
that's correct.
That is something that our educators can take pride in, and frankly, something that the General Assembly can take pride in.
It's something, for sure, it's something that our teachers should especially in elementary, beat their chests over of how well the kids have been responding since COVID. And remember, COVID was that time when we sent everybody home. Hindsight's 2020. Probably shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. But these kids have really shown resiliency coming back. And the thing I'm most impressed with is the fourth and fifth graders retain where they were year over year. They didn't slide back.
Mm-hmm.
And in 8th grade, we talked about the low numbers there. That's the next challenge is let's talk to our teachers to find out why the drop
What's happening.
What's happening there, and then focus there. And then we're also looking at college. We're not getting the numbers, and I know I haven't talked about this much, but our graduation rates in our colleges and universities across the state of Tennessee is not very good. When you compare us to the SEC, right, just the other schools in the SEC, for a bachelor's degree, now listen what I'm going to tell you and your listeners, for a bachelor's degree, looking at the 6-year graduation rate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 6-year.
6-year graduation rate is 73%. You know what that ranks us in the SEC? Tied for 10th.
And see, I was on the 5-year plan. I thought that was bad.
Well, that is bad. When you've got college athletes that are graduating in 3.5 years playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where's the disconnect there?
Well, I mean, a lot of things to unpack, a lot of angles to take. I want to go to a few questions that are being asked on the Super Text line. I love the fact that we're getting some education questions in here. Ask Scott why it takes so long to get test results. Is it already too late for those who would need summer school?
No, what happens is we give out after the districts take the tests in May and April, in about 3 weeks, they get the raw scores back to identify those students that are going to need intervention, summer school, right? And we gave them different options. You can go to summer school or you can take a tutor the following year. If you're in the approaching category, it means you're very close to being on track. If you're in the below category, it gives them enough time to get situated for how many kids are going to come to summer school. And then the following year, we automatically provide the tutoring for those students. We're seeing tremendous results. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is the hard part, Matt, is not every district and inside every district, not every school is providing high-quality summer school.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to do a better job of getting a more uniform stance in summer school across the state to give the kids the necessary supports that they need to get across the finish line for the next grade level.
Nelson writes in and says, would you ask Representative Cepicky what he would do about a lack of discipline in school today? The kids are in charge and oftentimes treat the teachers like trash with no consequences. Will you talk about that at all?
Absolutely, 100%. 3 years ago, Matt, I passed a bill, and I talked about it with you, the Teachers Discipline Act. Came out of the state of Georgia and the state of Florida, which gives the teacher the ability to remove a repetitively disruptive student from their classroom permanently. Permanently.
And it seems like a no-brainer from our days, right? I mean, you went to alternative school, and if you couldn't manage yourself in alternative school, eventually you got expelled.
Well, now we have the ability to do virtual learning.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to expel the student. You can take the student and send them home so mom and dad can sit with them during class time. Well, guess what happens then? Mom and dad get upset because now they can't go to work because if they're a minor in the state of Tennessee, you have to be supervised by an adult. So it brings that parental involvement in. And in the Teachers Discipline Act, which, believe it or not, that's been 3 years ago, some districts haven't enacted it yet.
I mean, are they just ignoring the General Assembly?
Yes,
or?
they are. They are. And so we've got to figure out a way to remind them that when the elected representatives of the state of Tennessee pass a law, we do expect you to follow through with it because, like you talk about, you've seen the videos of the kids that just throw some kind of temper tantrum.
Oh, yeah.
The teacher removes all the other students and lets the kid destroy the classroom. Well, I've got 30 kids that aren't learning now for one knucklehead.
Right.
Right? So.
Back to scores, 3550 wants to know why don't, and I'm just asking the question asked to me, why don't they give the scores to the parents with more information?
Well, we try to. During the school year, we do those 3 testings throughout the year to kind of be benchmarks. They're not really a test, but they are an evaluation tool that the teachers can use. And they'll communicate with the parents to say, hey, everything is progressing on track, or, hey, we have a problem here we need to address. One of the things we do for summer school with in our districts is we encourage them to interact with the parents and say, okay, little Jenny or Johnny is struggling here. Here's the plan in summer school. Here's how we're going to address that so that when they move to the next grade level, they're going to be able to succeed. It's communication. We try to give as much flexibility, local control, you talk about it, as much local control to the districts as we can on how they're going to disseminate that information.
Someone wants to know, just bottom line, 25, 50 words, what was the Discipline Act?
Real quick, what it did is it gave the teacher the ability to remove a repetitively disruptive student. It set a set of things in place that had to happen, enable for that student to be able to come back to the classroom with the teacher's permission. An intervention. They had to do a psychological evaluation with the parent's consent. They had to have a parent-teacher meeting. They had to come up with a plan on how they're going to address the discipline issues and then set the expectations forward about what the teacher expects in the classroom.
Now, I'm at a little bit of a loss because I don't have kids. You know that. So someone says, get rid of Common Core. We don't teach Common Core in Tennessee, do we?
Now, we don't teach Common Core, but remember, it's the principles we don't teach. When you're looking at grades, like let's take first grade through fifth grade, right? It's just the basic building blocks of education. If you look at third grade, what they're supposed to learn across the country, it's pretty much the same, right? They're learning addition, they're learning subtraction, they're learning how to read. Common Core got really wonky when it got into middle school and high school when you started talking about concepts and things like that. And we've banned Common Core. We've banned the tenets of how you're going to teach Common Core. But we still have the basics of education. And that word Common Core kind of got hijacked to where, we expect everybody to know a Common Core in K through 5, right? The building blocks of math and addition and subtraction.
Particularly with math. It was that kind of a different way of doing math.
Correct.
And everybody was like, there's nothing wrong with memorizing multiplication tables.
So that's called fluency and numeracy. We'll be getting a testimony from the department about what their recommendation is. And what I've heard is, guess what, Matt? They're going to recommend to go back to the way we used to do it.
So with regard to the education scholarship,
yes.
Are you happy where we are? I mean, did we fill up the 20,000 scholarships?
Oh, yes, by far. Now, we've got lots of people on waiting lists because now you have to go get your acceptance letter from your private school so that you can take advantage of that. One of the things that we'll be doing is it triggered automatically 5,000 more scholarships. Now the General Assembly has to come back in next year, look at the funding for that, find out how much it's going to be, and decide whether or not we're going to increase the funding to cover those extra 5,000 scholarships.
Well, and two things are happening simultaneous to each other. One is you're giving parents a choice, an opportunity if they find themselves in a failing situation. At the same time, we as a state are trying to eliminate those failing situations.
That's correct.
Right. I would love it if we no longer, I don't want to speak for you, but if 10, 15 years down the road, if everybody's like, you know what, we're good with our public education. It's great. So we don't need a scholarship. We don't need this fund anymore. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. That means that public education is succeeding on the level that it should be. But I love the fact that we're giving parents a little bit of a choice and more opportunity to get their children out of a failing situation if they find themselves in one.
And that's the problem. Sometimes you're zoned into a school because of your zip code or your address. You really don't have a choice. And now what we've done is we've created an alternative way for parents to gain access to better outcomes, better education. One of the things we do need to invest more in is we need more charter schools. We need more magnet schools like Hume Fogg. You know Hume Fogg right over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It is probably one of the best high schools in the country. And it's right here in Metro Nashville Public Schools that struggles right now to educate our kids.
So when we return, I'll look through some other questions and maybe pivot to a couple of those. But I'd be curious your thoughts on a couple of other matters. I know you keep up with a lot of national, international matters, and particularly, you've been on top of the relationship between Israel and the United States of America and what's going on in the Middle East. And I'm curious your thoughts on some of the activity that's happened since you and I have been last able to talk. It's 21 after the hour. Representative Scott Cepicky for one more segment. It's the Murphy Show on Super Talk. Old Double D Jay Harper. Double D J. That's double duty Jay Harper. He, I don't know how he gets from the traffic center to the newsroom as fast as he does, but he does it.
Man, it's the miracle of technology.
It's incredible, my friend. Yep. Incredible. We'll get to the news coming up in just moments. About 4 or so more minutes with our guest, Representative Scott Cepicky. Don't forget, Congressman David Kustoff is coming up just after 4:35 to discuss a couple of matters going on in Washington, D.C. You know, we've almost got a quorum here now after the passage of the big, beautiful bill. By the way, speaking of Congress, man, oh man, you excited? All these congressional races going on. You know, Rose is running for governor, so there's an open 6th congressional district race. Congressman Mark Green retires, and that one's happening real quick. Are you throwing your hat in the ring on that one there, Cepicky?
No.
No.
There's too much work to be done in education still.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I just figured I'd ask.
No.
Everybody else is running, so
No.
why not? What is to come on education in the next session?
I think you're going to see a focus on teacher evaluations, looking at how we do that. It's extremely complex right now. I think you're going to see mathematics on how we're going to teach mathematics in the state of Tennessee. I think you're going to have us take a look at testing in the state of Tennessee, whether or not we do too much testing, which a lot of us do believe we do. And then I think you're going to see us look at higher education, how we can get better results from the kids that go to higher education. Instead of taking 6 years to get a bachelor's degree, let's get them out in 4. And guess what? I'll save you 2 years of tuition.
Sounds good to me.
So that's what we're working on. Plus the other stuff that pops up every now and then from talking to teachers.
Plus the no body part replacements from China.
That's correct.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
And you're going to run my trash panda bill, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. And what was it? Pet raccoon?
That's the trash panda bill.
Trash panda bill.
It stands for. Hold on. Since you brought it up,
I didn't bring it
Cepicky,
up. I didn't bring it up.
Since you brought it up, Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act.
Sounds expensive.
Trash panda. No, it doesn't cost a
Sounds
thing.
expensive.
Doesn't cost a thing.
We'll make it expensive.
Doesn't cost a penny, and not like all that other stuff you guys are doing over there, spending our money hand over fist.
Yes.
Are you? I thought it was a master stroke. You and I have not had a chance to talk about it. I know that Israel's on your mind.
Yes.
And I thought it was a master stroke what happened in Iran.
Incredible.
I don't know that any other president, maybe Ronald Reagan, would have had the ability and the wherewithal to thread the needle in the way that it happened to prevent an escalation of the conflict, but at the same time eliminate the threat.
Well, when you look at what Israel did to pave the way, getting the air defense, right? Flying the same patterns into Iran all the time, so that they could be there in case the B-2s got in trouble, right? Making sure that the logistics of getting the B-2s, I'm from St. Louis, so I know where they left. It's on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And to logistically get them with the refueling, carrying 2 30,000-pound bombs.
Nonstop. Yeah.
You
incredible.
take off, you don't get to get out of that plane till you get back. And making sure that everything worked flawlessly. And that's where the age of these people that were doing this are so young, right? The technology that these kids have to, I call them kids, I'm sorry, but these young men and women have to know to make this work. One of the bills we ran in education, right, was about the ASFAB, letting the military go in and talk to these kids about the opportunities
Of course.
that's in our military right now. And you saw it on display, and well, I should say the world saw it on display, of the ability for us to reach out and touch you no matter where you are. And I think it was a brave thing that President Trump did, coordinating with Prime Minister Netanyahu, coordinating all this.
And now getting to a ceasefire,
Yes.
tenuous, but a ceasefire.
And getting more of those hostages back.
Amen. It's just a master
I'm going to
stroke.
tell you this. We cannot rest until all of those hostages come back from Gaza.
Amen.
They have to come back.
Hey, speaking of reaching out and touching someone,
Yes.
have you heard that we're trying to get Gloria to agree to come on the show?
I would love to sit here with her, too. I mean, she's full of some wealth of information.
Well, she was condemning Congressman Tim Burchett for his support of the big, beautiful bill, especially the Medicaid component. And we invited Tim and Gloria to come on to kind of hash out their differences. Congressman Burchett has agreed.
Good.
I mean, gosh, turn on CNN. He's on there all the time. He's
Right.
not afraid of it. And no response from Gloria, so we thought we would sweeten the pot. And I initially offered yesterday $1,000 to any non-political charity of her choice, because I'm not giving money to Planned Parenthood or some crap like that. But I'll give to dog rescue, whatever, non-political charity. We're now up to $3,600.
Wow.
$3,600. All she has to do is come on and be on the show for an hour.
Wow.
No response.
Well, I serve on the insurance committee and I serve on the 10 Care subcommittee. So I'm watching this very intently. And there is, like you said, there's no pregnant mothers going to be thrown off.
Of course not.
The children aren't going to be thrown off. Those with disabilities are not going to be thrown off. But let me tell you something. If you have the ability to go work, we're going to ask you to go work.
And the taxpayers should not be paying for your health coverage.
Correct. Now, one of the things we are looking at is a step-down approach to health care. So what happens is we get a lot of people that don't take the promotion because it'll kick them off at 10 Care. But they don't make enough money from the promotion to cover the new healthcare cost. So what we're looking at
Fair.
is there a way for us to create a step down as we're going to encourage you to take that next promotion, and then a certain percentage of you're going to be responsible for now. So we're going to encourage you to become self-reliant and self-dependent, but we're going to give you a step-down approach to make that happen.
Yeah, so it's not a leap.
Correct.
It's and I get it. No, I like it. I like everything about it.
There you go.
Scott, good to have you back.
Made education
Or wait
fun.
a minute, good for me to be back. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I thought we made it kind of fun.
Nice to have you back.
Kind of sort of fun. All right, we'll talk about Trash Pan Act next. 32 after the hour, it's time for Jay Harper of the Newsroom. Super Talk. You heard the man. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being around with us. Matt Murphy Show, a midweek edition. Hope your entire week's going good so far. Hope your month is going well. To speak about how it's going in Washington, D.C., next, we welcome back on the Murphy Show hotline. It is the telephone line where we interview people, which is, as I like to say, the catchy name of the telephone line where we interview people. Congressman David Kustoff joins us back on the program to discuss the big, beautiful bill, that legislation, and other matters that are happening. Hello, Congressman. Good to talk with you again. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Doing well. Better question is, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for asking. 2.5 weeks in, everything seems to be going well, pain-free, relatively speaking, except for PT. So things are going well. Thanks for asking.
Very good. Well, is it bionic?
Yeah, a little bionic. We cannot confirm nor deny where the actual parts were made. So I like to tell folks that if you say anything around me that you don't want the Red Chinese to know, you better whisper them.
Your secret's safe with me.
Oh, man, sure. So, I mean, obviously, every Republican save one, or save two, I should say, voted for the big beautiful bill, which is now the big beautiful law. You and I talked about this in the past. There were things that we cannot like about it, places where perhaps we did not go far enough with regard to spending. But talk about those aspects of the bill, even with some spending concerns that fiscal hawks might have had that pushed you over the line. And I know that there's plenty of good. A lot of that good does outweigh some of the negatives. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So Matt, take it from 30,000 feet and then kind of work down for just a moment. This bill captures a lot of what President Trump talked about in the 2024 campaign, from making the tax cuts permanent, the 2017 tax cuts, which were about to expire, from border security to unleashing American energy. It is in this one big, beautiful bill. And from the tax standpoint, you and I have talked about this before. I serve on the House Ways and Means Committee, which has jurisdiction over tax. If the tax cuts had expired at the end of this year for constituents in my district, in the 8th Congressional District of Tennessee, it would have been about a 26% tax increase. And a few weeks ago, I had questioned the Treasury Secretary, who's in the Ways and Means Committee, and I asked him, Mr. Secretary, if the tax cuts were to expire, what is the effect to the economy? And he said that we would have had, if the tax cuts expired, that we would have an economic calamity like what we had in 2008 if we didn't pass the one big beautiful bill. So that would I was already supportive because I helped draft the bill, but that should have been incentive for everybody in the House of Representatives, Republican or Democrat or what have you, to vote for it. In the end, it's going to be really strong for the economy, not only preserving the 2017 tax cuts, but the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, giving those Social Security beneficiaries some satisfaction that they get a deduction on their tax returns. This is big, and I've been in the rural part of my district. My district is the largest ag district in the state of Tennessee, and I'm telling you, Matt, for those family farms and for anybody that's got a small business, making sure that they have a large estate tax exemption where they don't have to pay taxes on death, that's going to preserve a lot of family farms and a lot of small businesses. So from the economic standpoint, it's an absolute home run to keep the economy going and making it strong, just like it was during the first 4 years of Trump 1.0.
It appears, listening to leftist media networks, and most of them are, listening to some of our friends on the political left, a major point of attack over the next year or so on the BBL will be the Medicaid reductions. Although I noted earlier in the show, Congressman Kustoff, that there will actually be an increase in Medicaid spending over 10 years. This is designed to blanch since 2019, my math had it at 60%. We've seen a 60% increase in spending just since 2019 on Medicaid programs. And if my reading of all of this is correct, everything that was done to Medicaid was designed to take those able-bodied individuals that can work and require them to do so if they are to continue to receive Medicaid. Pregnant mothers are not going to get the boot. Mamas with kids under the age of 14 are not going to get the boot. Are Republicans ready with these answers? Because they're going to have to fight back not just against the lying Democrats, but also the lying media.
So I was interviewed on CNN the day after the bill passed, and that was one of the questions I got was about Medicaid and about Medicaid spending and where the savings come from. And I pointed out, and I think you did a really good job summarizing everything. The estimates are kind of all over the place, but the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimated that there are about 5 million able-bodied childless adults who get Medicaid. And what this bill does, it requires those individuals, not the ones who are truly dependent, where they've got some type of disability, but the able-bodied adults, 19 to 64 years of age, they've got to produce proof that they are working 80 hours per month or that they get some type of job skills or job training. And when I was interviewed on CNN about this, I pointed out that this is the exact same thing that Bill Clinton championed 30 years ago, what he and Newt Gingrich worked with to make sure that those who can work, who are receiving Medicaid, they just got to produce proof that they're doing what they should be doing. And I think about my district where we're about to have a lot of new jobs come online with Blue Oval City, and we all know the jobs that are being produced in Middle Tennessee, where you are, and in East Tennessee. We need bodies. We need able-bodied people to go to work. And so my point is, if those jobs are available and we can get able-bodied people where they are not receiving Medicaid, and Medicaid truly goes to those who are dependent, then we've done our job.
I saw the stat. I was just pulling it up as you were talking, Congressman David Kustoff, our guest, joining us today on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But the basic math. Oh, here it is. U.S. worker boost since Trump took office in January. There are 543,000 fewer foreign-born individuals working in the United States of America, but over 2 million native-born workers have a job now that did not at the beginning of the year. This is kind of the idea that if those people that have just given up on finding a job, given up on being in the workforce that are currently able-bodied, sure, you're going to see that decrease because we're dealing with the illegal immigration issues that have plagued the country, particularly under the Biden administration. But the American people are getting up and getting back to work, which is the way we want it.
That's exactly why we want people to go to work. And when I visit with my employers, and I think this is true for any congressman, whether it's in manufacturing, you name it, they say we need people to come to work. We need people. We've got good jobs. We have trouble getting people to come to work, and that's not nearly as true as it was during the pandemic, during COVID, but it's still true today. So my argument is that if the CBO is right, and there are roughly 5 million able-bodied people on Medicaid, and they can work, then we're doing the labor force and the American taxpayer a favor if, all we're asking them to do is to present proof that they're working at least 80 hours a month, or that they're able or they've gotten some type of job training. That's all we're asking for. And if they don't do that, then they're not eligible to get Medicaid.
Well, we appreciate everything about that aspect of the big, beautiful bill, and I appreciate your vote for it. Obviously, much to do with regard to spending in Washington, D.C., and we'll continue that conversation into the fall and well into the coming years. Before we let you go, Congressman Kustoff, obviously, you and I have not been able to talk since I was out for surgery for the last several weeks. Last time we had a conversation was before Donald Trump initiated the strikes against Iran. I mean, call it, whatever cliche phrase we want to use, threading through the eye of a needle or a camel's hair through the eye of a needle, whatever it was, he managed to effectively eliminate Iran's nuclear program, get them to the table of a ceasefire, and prevent other nations from wanting to engage in any sort of militaristic way, and he kept boots off the ground. I thought it was a master stroke, and it gave Israel yet another opportunity to get a foothold on peace in the Middle East. Your thoughts?
Well, Matt, first of all, I really strongly applaud President Trump for making these are tough decisions, and only the President of the United States has all the information that's needed to make a decision like that. And what you're asking our men and women in the military to do, flying those B-2 bombers, is to drop these really large bombs strategically into a hole, essentially. And not only do I applaud President Trump, I certainly applaud those men and women in the military. He has taken out, President Trump, not only those strategic leaders in the Iranian military, and the Israelis did too before that strike just a couple of weeks ago, but he's really kind of defanged to some extent Iran, which not only is an enemy of Israel, but they are an enemy of the United States, and they have been for 46 years. And so we're going to continue to work with President Trump and with our armed services. I do want to say on that note, today, Speaker Mike Johnson and the Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries appointed members of the House of Representatives to a group, something called the House Knesset Parliamentary Friendship Group, to continue that relationship that we have with the Israeli Congress. I have been appointed as of today, reappointed as the chairman of that group, and I'm proud of my Republican members. I'm glad that Hakeem Jeffries has appointed Democrat members. We have to work to make sure that Israel, our greatest ally in the Middle East, has the tools and the resources that Israel needs so that she can defend herself.
Well, congratulations to you. Thank you for the hard work that you do. We appreciate you coming on and updating us from a Western Tennessee perspective. And, Congressman, it's always a great conversation. Take good care, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Thank you, Matt. Good luck on your recovery, and
Thank
let's
you.
Continue to get well. Thank you for having me on today.
God bless you. There's David Kustoff, Congressman from over in West Tennessee, not Memphis. I forget. Is it 8? Oh, gosh, I always forget. Maybe it's 2. I forget the numbers. I don't know the numbers, and I don't pretend to know the numbers. I'll figure it out, and I'll tell you when we come back on Super Talk.